We've called this session Continuing the Conversation. There have been lots of subjects that have seemed to have exercised you, but why are we interested in the 25th session? Well, first of all, we wanted to explore other styles of presenting. Most of the sessions over the last few years of the Virtual International Day of the Midwife have been of the style where a presenter delivers a presentation with a set of slides, with occasional polls and things, but then questions have come afterwards, Q&A, usually in the chat window, with people being enabled with their microphone one at a time. Well, this year we have used occasional polls and things, but we want to look at other tools. We want to continue to develop the Virtual International Day of the Midwife, to continue being at the forefront of using modern interactive media for running this sort of conference between practitioners in a particular subject. We also wanted to give a bit more space for discussion on the subjects that seem to run out of time or were exercising you during the past 24 hours. And we had a meeting about an hour ago, 3 or 4 of us from the committee, and we've identified half a dozen subjects. So we'll be sharing those with you shortly. And also, we want you to give us things to think about for next year, because it won't be all that long before we start thinking about what 2015 should look like. We'd like to be able to do that too. I'll just pause because I noticed Gillian had gone out of the room but came back, so I've just made her a host as well. So that was why we wanted to run a 25th session. So we wanted to give you some more time, we wanted to think about other ways of running sessions, and we want to already make a start on thinking about next year. So we'll be running some polls, so a bit more about demographics. We've been running them during the day, as you know, but we've got a couple more with a slightly more detail. We're then going to breakout rooms, and that's an innovation that we haven't done before. The quickest way to do this is to use random allocation, and we feel for this time around that's what we're going to do. So you might not get your first choice of midwifery topic, so we hope you'll bear with us with that. As I say, it'll be random allocations. We'll put 1 or 2 facilitators in each room, and in that room then we're going to use other ways of interacting. So we'll set the whiteboard up, so you can write on the whiteboard. There'll be, we'll switch voice on so that everyone's microphones can be enabled, talk to participants directly, and you'll have 10 minutes to talk about the subject that we'll give you. And then we'll back into the single main room, and we'll review what's happened and ask each of the facilitators for some feedback about your sessions. And of course you're very welcome to help there. And then finally we'll do a final poll about 2015. So let me share with you the sessions that the subjects that we decided we wanted. So I'm just going to start a new pod and write those in. Have we got a whiteboard somewhere? I'll do a note to start with. I'll just put them in and I'll put them in a note. Thanks for the moment, Annette. Okay. Thank you very much. So hopefully you can see a note that I've plonked in the middle of the slide. And these are the 6 subjects that we've got, in no particular order. We're interested in bullying of prisoners, reduction of unnecessary intervention, workload, cultural competence, perceived risk versus actual risk, and supporting normal labour. Thanks, Jennifer. So those will, I've labelled them A through F from when we had our pre-meet. The breakout rooms will be numbered 1 through 6. So A will be in room 1, B will be in room 2, and so on. As I said, we will randomly allocate you to those rooms. We'll then, when you first move in, there won't be any facilitators because it's participants get randomly allocated, and then we'll move hosts in. So bear with us for a minute or so while we move facilitators into the rooms, and then we'll be good to go. So is everybody feeling ready to go and have a conversation about these subjects and use some new tools? Perhaps you'd like to show me by virtue of your icons. Brilliant, that's what I like to see. Excellent, okay. So time for some breakouts. All right, I'm going to press the button in a moment and you will magically disappear into the breakout rooms, and then we will move facilitators in with you. So good luck. Oh, one last instruction. I will... Sorry, go on, you go, Annette.
Yeah, when you come into the breakout rooms, you will be automatically promoted to presenters, and then you will have the microphone icon at the top that you're not able to see now. And then you have to press the microphone icon so you can speak. So it's very important that you have tested your sound, otherwise there will be a lot of noise. And please use headsets. If you should be on an integrated microphone, then mute your microphone while you're not speaking, because an integrated microphone causes a lot of echo. So, yeah.
Thank you, Annette. Thank you very much for that. Okay, and one last thing is, as I say, it's 10 minutes. We'll put a message to each of the rooms to give you a warning when we're coming back. So we'll probably give you a 1 or 2 minute warning, and then we'll give you a 5-second countdown. I agree, Claude. Well, we'll try it out, Claudia, and we'll have a look at that and see what it looks like. So I'm going to start the breakouts now.
Have you set it for even distribution?
I think I haven't. There we go.
No, I've gone. Yeah.
You have done right. Thank you.
And the facilitator, how do they go into the groups?
I think we just need to randomly allocate them.
Okay, so should I just take from the list?
Yes, indeed so. Indeed so.
Okay, Tim, you go to number 1, and I'll go to move you there now. And Sarah, you go to number 2. You will be moved to it now. And Gillian, you're going to number 3. You'll be moved now. And Claire, you will go to number 4. You'll be moved now. Christian, you will go to number 5. You'll be moved now. And Cecilia, you will be moved to number 6, and you will go now. And then with Chris, with the topics, we need to be aware if they can remember the topics in the breakout.
Indeed. So, what's the best way of doing that? Because I presume can we share this note? Do we need to share this note in each room, or go into each room and take a copy of their subject with us?
Yeah, I would just go into number 1.
Okay. Hello, Karen. Hello, Karen. Can you hear me? It looks like you're in the main room. So have you recently joined us and found that everyone's vanished into a breakout room? That's not a problem. Okay, so what we've done is put people into half a dozen breakout rooms. Can you see? You see a window that's called Note that's trampled all over the Session 25 outline slide, and it lists half a dozen subjects. Okay. Well, subject A is in room 1, subject B is in room 2, and so on. You're lucky enough, I'll let you choose which subject you'd like to talk about, and then I'll put you in that room. Hi, Jenny. Looks like you've joined us recently as well. The breakouts have started. So if you'd like to choose a subject, I'll let you choose yours. You're lucky for coming in late. Jean, likewise, you put your hand up to be a facilitator, but we happen to have 6 rooms and 6 facilitators. But you're very welcome to join the conversation and contribute if you want to choose a room. If you want to type in the chat box, the two of you, which room you'd like, I'll move you into breakout rooms if you choose a subject.
Chris, I've been into every breakout, given them the themes, and shared the whiteboard.
Oh, wonderful! Thank you very much for that. I started in room. I did room 6, and then came out to see where you were, and then a couple of late arrivals came. So I've just moved. In fact, 3 late arrivals came. Okay. So I've just moved them into other rooms.
Okay.
I think I'm quite happy to give them 10 minutes from now, as you've only just been through all 6 rooms. I'm guessing the subjects will keep them going for ages.
Yeah, but they are not using the microphones, so I hope they will get on to that using the microphones.
Send them a broadcast message?
Yeah. Because in some of the rooms there are, and you can see it where the microphones are blinking, or what,
yes.
What you say. But in some of, yes, they are going on microphone now. It's okay. In number 3 you can see it's only Gillian, and in number 4 it is it's only Claire, but there's some others who have. In number 5 where Christian is, it's only him. As I can see it, there is on the microphone. Yep. And in number 6, no.
Likewise, it's only Cecilia, I think. Although I'm not. Yes,
Yeah, but hopefully they find out. I have said to all of them that they can use the microphone and use the whiteboard as well. So hopefully the facilitator find a way to do it with them.
Indeed. Well, maybe give them a few minutes and then give them a reminder, a friendly reminder.
Yeah.
And that reminds them. That reminds them we're still here as well.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's a bit like when I used to facilitate physical workshops and I'd put people in breakout groups. Usually first thing after lunch because it's a slot when they fall asleep otherwise.
Yeah.
I would then use that. I'd walk between the groups. It gives me a break because I would have self-directed groups, but I'd wander around the rooms to see how they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's the equivalent of that, I think.
Yeah. But I will go for a walk in a minute's time again.
Yeah, I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to get myself a little drink.
Okay.
So I might do that. So see you in a minute.
Okay.
I think we can both afford away for a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Patricia. Welcome to session 25. We're underway, as you can probably see. We've moved people into breakout rooms, and I'm guessing you perhaps were away and couldn't manage to join us exactly on the hour. Would you still like to take part? Okay, let me move the poll out of the way. You can probably see in the note a list of 6 subjects. We have 1 subject per breakout room and 6 or 7 people in the breakout room. I'm really pleased you have found it interesting. I see we have someone else in the room as well. We're coming towards the end of the breakout sessions. Oh, okay. What don't you understand?
Tricia, and also Taramati, do you want to go into one of the rooms discussing with the other ones? Then I can take you in there.
I was starting to ask that question, but we got into a conversation of
Okay.
Patricia said she needed help for Trauductor, and I'm not sure what that meant.
Okay, but Taramati, I could take you into a room if you want to go there, and then to discuss with the other midwives in there. Okay, I will.
Okay, now I have a question which I forgot to sort out before we started, which was in the breakout rooms, the things like poll or notes that they write or whiteboards that they write on, how do those get saved?
As long as we are not doing anything, the rooms will stay there, so we can go back to the rooms, so it stays in there.
I understand. Right, excellent. So we can tidy up after them.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Unless, yeah.
Perfect. The less they have to worry about, the better.
Yeah.
Okay, shall I give them a 2-minute warning? What do you think?
Yes, you can do that. Yeah. That's fine. Taramati, oh, sorry. I can see that you have you had put on your microphone. Do you want to go to a room? You can say something. I can see Joe also have entered the main meeting. Do you want to go into a room together with the other ones? You're allowed to speak. Okay, no one says anything. Chris, when people come back here, we could we could allow all of his participants to have microphone rights because they have had that in, and then urge people to use raising hand if they want to say something.
Absolutely, that's a good plan. I've built a poll asking for people's age to get them used to polls again.
Yeah.
I can't remember what else we said we were going to ask them.
Yeah, that's fine. Have you sent the message for them?
I'm about to.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, of course. I will just take you to the first one. So. How about you, Joe? Do you want to go do you want to go to a room also, Joe? I can take you to a room as well. Do you think they have read it because everything goes grey when the message is on?
I hope so. I don't know.
Yeah, but everything stays green as long as the messages are on. So if they have read it, I think we should close it.
Oh, I can't see the message.
No, I can. Okay. Oh no, sorry, it's only me. Okay, I'm closing it. Interesting. Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
I thought it was. Yeah, of course. Joe, do you want to go to a room? You have your microphone on now. You can say something. Okay.
I've set the timer on my iPhone for another minute, and I'll give them a 15-second warning then.
Yeah.
So I've done a poll, which I think I'll open it ready for them to come back to. And I don't know if they can see the polls in their room. So I've got a poll ready. The one that's called poll 8 is an age distribution question. Well, I can't remember.
Now, if you open it here, you can see it here. I have opened the note you made with the topics in every room.
Oh, I see.
So the facilitator has to open it in the rooms.
Okay, so if I open it here, it will only show in the main room. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. My machine is very slow. Oh, here's the poll finally. So that's my poll.
Yeah. That's fine.
My machine is obviously very tired. My cursor doesn't seem to.
Okay. Do you want me to?
Oh, please, if you would, thank you. My machine, my pointer's being really poor now.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. I hope you had some interesting discussions in your breakout rooms.
We did, but in my group, half of the people's mics and weren't working, and the internet connections were rough.
Oh, that's a shame.
Hi, Chris,
I can see some notes coming through, so that's good. Yeah. Okay, to welcome you back, I've just put another poll up because I'm nosy. I'd like to know how old people are. So please do complete the poll, and we'll add this to our store of knowledge about people.
Chris, I put in the results of group 5 in the notes.
Lovely, thank you very much, Christian. Yes. Appreciate it.
I copied it from the chat.
Thank you.
I hope you see the whole thing. Yes. Okay, everything is here. Okay, great.
A minute or so more to complete the poll.
You need to take the broadcast result.
Oh, I didn't. Thank you. Yeah, that looks fairly stable, so it looks like a reasonable bell curve distribution, unsurprisingly. Right, thank you for that, people. Right, well, I hope you found it interesting. What I'd like to do is perhaps invite people in return, and sort of in turn, going around the rooms, and if the facilitator could just give us a quick praise of what the discussion, the subject, remind us what the subject was, and maybe 2 or 3 of the main points that were made in discussion, and then we'll go around the rooms like that, and then we'll ask your views on what you might like to do about how to run sessions in 2015. Oh, I'm going to ask Gillian. Gillian has to go to work, and she's asked if she can go first, so I'm going to take an executive decision and ask Gillian to go first, and she can feed back to us directly rather than having to ask someone else. So Gillian, go ahead.
Thanks, Chris. I was in breakout room 3, which was to discuss workload issues, and we had about 7 people in there, but only myself and Jennifer were able to use the microphone. Charlotte was able to use the chat box, but the other 4 participants didn't appear to be there. So I'm not sure if they were allocated because obviously they were still a participant, but then had walked away from their computer or weren't there. So we actually only had the 3 of us in the room, but had a good discussion. And unfortunately, none of us had actually been at the session, any of the sessions that discussed it, but we certainly had things to talk about. It was really nice to be able to use the microphone for the participants, and that worked really well. But as I said, we only had a small group, and I do find when there are much larger groups that it does become more difficult. But our connection was great, certainly between Jennifer and myself, and Charlotte was able to type in.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much, Gillian, and thanks very much for making the time out on what I know is a tricky day for you. So thanks very much for coming to session 25.
Thanks, Chris. Always lovely to join you guys. Okay, bye.
All right, take care now. Okay, let's go back to the top. Room 1. Who was the facilitator in room 1, please?
Chris, I think that was me. I think I was in room 1. Okay. I was Tim here, and we were talking about bullying of practitioners.
Yes.
In a similar way, we had a very small group, and we only had a couple of people talking on their microphones, but we had a little bit of chat happening on the side of the screen. Generally speaking, from what I was interpreting from the conversation there, yes, bullying of practitioners does happen, particularly senior physicians down to bullying towards junior midwives. It's very hierarchical. We had a mix of some people sharing their experiences and some people telling us some anecdotes. We talked a little bit about how that bullying environment gets transferred across to the mother and the family in the room as well. And there was a little bit of talk towards the end about wondering whether actually that bullying does the bully actually know that they're bullying, or are they just trying to be encouraging, forcefully encouraging, etc. So it might not always be fully understood or perceived by the bullier themselves.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Tim. I'm going to change the order, actually. I know Christian's up very, very late for him, so I'm going to invite Christian to go next so he can get off to bed once he's done.
Very much. That's not very nice of you. We talked about risks and one theme that came up was the difference between perceived real risk and not real risk, and one thing was the risk of birth at home, which was very interesting. Discussion, and there were named some topics that could be very interesting for next year or other discussions. So I think it was a good discussion. Thank you everybody for joining in, especially to Claudia, which is a very, very brave midwife.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much for that, Christian. Okay, let's go back to room 2. Who was facilitating room 2, reduction in unnecessary interventions?
That was me, Chris.
Oh, hi,
Can you hear
Sarah.
me?
Okay, yeah, I can indeed, yes.
Well, we had a small breakout room, and just like Gillian, it seemed like some of them weren't there. However, I'd just like to say with my group, they were really great with the technology. We had a play on the whiteboard, we did polls, we had people speaking, and I think someone said it's such a shame that we've got this great technology, and you know, she'd really like to see it used in some of the sessions next year. So and also you know, and even talking through the microphone in the laptop, although the sound wasn't great, you know, it really worked. And we had some great chat as well from people that don't always chat, and we had a small discussion, but generally we talked about how great the conference was rather than our subject.
Okay, that's fair enough. But it's really, I mean, part of the reason for having session 25 was to sort of explore and uncover what we might do differently next year. So it's brilliant to hear that people think that we could use the technology more widely, because that's what we have been thinking. So it's great to have that confirmation.
Yeah, my little group were great, and they gave it all a go. So hopefully, you know who you are, ladies. I'd like to see you next year.
I was going to say that's an invitation for recruitment, I think. Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much, Sarah. Okay, who was looking after room 4, cultural competence?
This is Carlene Wilson-Mitchell. I think I've been asked to try to be the spokesperson for our group. We're discussing cultural competence.
Okay.
And that the term cultural competence itself is problematic, because it might lead some people to believe that at some point in your life you might know it all and be completely culturally competent in any culture that you come across, whether it's the culture of a family or any kind of difference. And diversity could be cultural, ethnic, it could be sexual orientation, it could be religion in any way. And that's not what we realized. We realized that we were all devoted to lifelong learning, and that there were still new and different situations that we came across that challenged our critical thinking, challenged us to examine our worldviews. We talked about some definitions like discrimination, structural discrimination, systemic discrimination, racism, stereotyping. We also talked about the fact that, you know, even what might work for one particular socioeconomic group or cultural group, and what we think might be empowering or motivating for that particular woman is not necessarily empowering or motivating for another client who comes from another worldview and another life history. So it was a very rich conversation. I too want to echo what everyone else has said. I've worked for the last 5 years using web conferencing to teach the majority of our program in Canada, and it's a great way to interact and to have discussions, and I'm happy to share some of the tips of using Adobe Connect, because that's what we're using at the moment. But I'm really happy to see this session this year.
Colin, that's wonderful, and be careful what you wish for. We may rope you in. Okay, thank you very much for that feedback. That was really useful and interesting. I think that just leaves us with room 6 to think about. So, who was looking after room 6?
Cecilia was.
I think she was, but she seems to have disappeared.
Where?
Is anyone else from room 6 about who'd be comfortable feeding back on room 6's discussions?
And you're allowed to also to raise your hand and take your microphone in here, so you could speak here if you want to. You have the microphone rights, all of you. So if there's somebody from room breakout room 6, you can take the microphone and tell us something about.
You should do, Carrie. Yes, you do, Carrie. So you should, if you look at the top row, there should be a microphone icon which might not be green. If you click on that microphone icon, that will make it green. Carrie, what's on the slide now, the one next to the loudspeaker, you've got that icon.
Did that work?
Yep. Perfect.
You can hear me?
Yes, I can. Slightly quiet, but I can hear you.
Okay. I missed the talk on normal birth earlier in the day. So I kind of only got half of what was said. But sorry. Is that better?
Slightly. You went muffled a bit, but now you're better again. So just speak slowly and loudly if you're projecting to the back of a big room.
Okay, I think most of what we talked about was around sort of protecting the birth environment, I suppose, and keeping things as normal as possible, even if it's high risk.
Okay. That sounds good.
And we talked about preparing women antenatally or prenatally to prepare them for labour and what to expect.
Okay.
That was pretty much it.
Okay. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's good to know.
Didn't have microphones, including me, because I couldn't figure it out.
Right.
And a few that weren't involved in the conversation, whether they'd stepped away, I don't know.
Right. Okay. That's no problem at all. Did you use anything other than the microphone and the chat box?
No.
Okay. Okay. That's okay. There's no right or wrong answer. We're just interested to see what happened. That's all. Thank you back, Harry. Really appreciate it. That's okay. I mean, learning point for us is to make our instructions better, I think. Okay. I think we're nearly wrapped up now. I think the only thing left is possibly to ask. Maybe I'll just use the chat box at the moment because it's getting a bit late now. So, ideas for next year, either subject material or, and perhaps even more importantly, or as importantly, is ways of running sessions, either different uses for the technology or different items of the technology to use, those sorts of things. So please go for it in the chat box. If I open a poll, you can choose whichever you fancy.
What? Should people start to answer what subject we should consider for the WIDM next year, so they can write in the poll at this time? Yes, I agree with you, with Taramati. Actually, this year we had a lot of room for many more attendees or participants than we have had the previous years. But and we have been wondering why there was not so many people showing up as we hoped for. But maybe it's because it's a working day. We do not know. The last 2 years it has been during the weekend. We have seen the numbers of participants has been rising the last 3 years, and we were hoping that would go on this year, but it hasn't.
This year we're having, today is a national holiday, so many of our midwives some of them are not at work, and so able to participate.
Yes, you're possibly right, because they can be on holiday or something, because it's a bank holiday.
Yeah, today is a national holiday in Guyana. It's Indian Arrival Day, and last year that we would have had an area where we would go to look at a presentation, but we were not able to do that on Friday the 2nd. We had our Midwives Day activity, so many of the midwives were at that activity, and some went home and to some of the different regions.
Okay.
No.
President Donald Rumsfeld has stated that as long as he
name of the person who just was telling us about the bank holiday, but it would be nice if you mute your microphone, because there's a lot of noise in the background. One of you wants to say something, please take the microphone and feel free to say something.
Hello. I think it's great that the I guess the VIDM coordinators are capturing the data or the information on I guess the demographics on those who are participating in the presentation. But as a student, it would be equally as interesting to find out of the various midwives in all the countries that have been represented, what are the demographics in the countries, the cities, the townships where they are serving, because from the slides, one would get the impression that midwifery care and those who are served by midwifery is still quite a monolith, even across all the continents. And so just kind of curious about that. I didn't have the benefit of seeing every slideshow, so I'm not speaking to any one slideshow in particular, but just wondering, who is serving who, and what does that look like in your presentations in terms of your daily practice?
You could say that we try to that end it's possible to broaden the topics out, and there has been presentation from Africa and from India and different parts of the world where the midwifery care would be different. So, but I agree with you. It's interesting to see how midwifery practices are.
But I understand that I understand that. I enjoyed Pakistan and Uganda, and my love of my life, Papua New Guinea. But it's But are there no people of color served in the midwifery practices in the UK? Are there no people of color served in the midwifery practices of Canada? This is a part of cultural awareness, that when you put together slideshows and presentations, please give us a feeling if you do serve diverse populations, have them represented in the pictures that you put forward. And that's very important. It's a very important part of cultural awareness, of cultural sensitivity. I know there are Black folks in England. I know there are Black folks in Canada. I know there were Aboriginal people in Australia. I know there are the Maori people in New Zealand. Do the midwives not serve these communities?
Caroline.
It's Carlene. That was a very interesting point. That's one of the things that we've tried to do in our midwifery program in Ontario. In everything that we publish, and we use a lot of web conferencing for online learning, we try to make it look as diverse as possible. But it's interesting you should mention that, because that really makes me think of another question. I had some students who had some international placements this year, and they had to come across a lot of the issues that have to do with post-colonial societies that are living in a world in which there are power imbalances, and those power imbalances still continue to affect those populations and the work life of the midwives and the healthcare providers there to this day. And even though we try to orient our students, our placement person really does a good job with that, I wonder how we could not even use members of our community that come from those countries and those healthcare systems and are internationally, trained midwives who could actually help to speak to some of those issues and help us to engage in discussions where we start to prepare our minds to think about some of the global health issues. And when we send students, we want to avoid robbing the students of those cultures and those countries of their own education opportunities. We want to in any way complement or add to that culture. We don't want to be one of the oppressors. So I think that might be an interesting concept as well, engaging the diverse populations where we live.
And I think the person who can do that is Vicki Penwell. If anyone has a few dollars and a few moments, they should take a cultural competency 6-hour class. I've taken 5 or 6 cultural competencies. I hate that word. Cultural awareness, cultural sensitivity training classes in the last 2 years because it's a requirement in the United States for my certification. And the best one that I've found for all people who provide health care is the one put together by Vicki Penwell. I think it would be a great plus before we send students anywhere outside of the block on which they live, because we live in a global world in the city where we live right now. We don't actually have to get on a plane and go to Burundi to run into the culture of Burundi. I think all of us should include in our midwifery training a cultural awareness program, and the best one I know of on this planet is the one that Vicki Benwell runs.